Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be working on two oil paintings that I abandoned. It's going to be a bit similar to this cat painting I did a couple weeks ago. These are the two paintings that I'll be working on, one of a city and another of the moon. Just trying to figure out which one I want to start on first, and I start on the city one. I found this little card that I made back when I was working on the painting, and I think these are the colors. I pull out my little color chart and I'm trying to figure out where each color is on the painting, and so that's where phthalo blue is. I had to flip over my color chart because it just kept falling apart. It's only taped on the back, but the next colors I'm looking at are cadmium yellow medium mixed with phthalo blue, and it's this little like bluish green right here, and I can see it on the buildings off to the right hand side. And then this section I didn't get to show you on my color chart, but that's alizarin crimson. And I need to scrape off all of the dried up paint on my palette. I'm putting most of it on this little canvas that I have. I had a plan in mind where I was going to use this as a base for another painting once I get more canvas or paint scraps. I think the fact that my palette is directly in the sunlight for most of the day, it just makes it very hard to scrape off any of the paint because it just seems to dry a lot quicker. And so I couldn't get all of it cleaned up, but at least I have this small little section. And so I have the colors in the bottom left hand corner that I'm going to be using. They're alizarin crimson, phthalo blue, Prussian blue, cadmium yellow medium, which I think I accidentally used cadmium yellow deep instead, and titanium white. And you probably noticed, but my phthalo blue is actually Winsor & Newton Winton brand. Most of my paints are Gamblin Artist brand, but I have a couple Winton colors, and I've noticed that there's a lot more binder in them and not as much pigment, but for things like this, it doesn't really bother me. And so here I am trying to be a good artist and actually mix my colors together. It's funny because I've made all of these mixes and then I barely used any of them, so I think it was still worth it because it at least let me see what colors I could make. I just didn't need them. But right now I'm just mixing most of the yellows and oranges that I'm going to be using. For this painting, I really just wanted to focus on fixing the trees. I have a horrible time painting nature when it comes to doing it in oil painting. I'm still not like great at it with gouache, but something with oil painting, it just doesn't work right in my head on how to paint something natural, because like trees aren't very structural. I like painting things that are more, square shaped, or I guess rectangular. To me, it just makes it I don't know, it just makes more sense to me. I can't paint things that are more abstract like trees just because I don't really know how to rely on the reference photo and mimic that. I have an issue where I'll see a reference photo and I'll just be like, yeah, okay, I'll make something similar, I guess. With buildings, it's very easy because I can just take out what I think isn't necessary and make it more impressionistic like I did in this painting. I don't know why, I just can't do that with trees. They just don't make sense to me at all. And so I'm just painting over the ones that I really hated, and I was just like, they are not working right. The distance that I was trying to get with the street going further into the painting, it just wasn't looking right because all the trees along the side of the street, they were just looking very similar in size. So I'm trying to fix that here. This big tree in the front, I didn't want to paint over because I had such a hard time doing it before. And so I'm just trying to bring it more forward in the painting by adding more highlights to it. Here I was trying to follow the reference photo, but it was a very gray day when I took this picture, and so there wasn't a lot of light. And so I'm trying to play around with it and make it look a little bit more full instead of just a very flat tree. I was trying to remember where I took this picture. This is on my first trip to Japan, and I'm looking back through all of my photos that I took, and it looks like this was when we were walking from Roppongi to Tokyo Tower, I think. I remember it was a really cold and foggy day, and we didn't want to spend the money to just take the train ride such a short distance. And so I think it was probably like a 30 or 40-minute walk, and we went through like a small part of the city, and I saw these really pretty yellowy orange trees right up against this really nice pale blue building, and I was like, I just need to paint this. This is beautiful. This is the current state of my palette. I added a bit more colors to it and just wanted to give you a little zoom in on what I've been working on. I got rid of those trees for now, and I'm just gonna wait until this painting dries until I can fix the trees. But I really like how the rest of it looks. I don't want it to be super detailed. I like the looseness of the painting, and so I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna pet my cat, even though she doesn't want pet. And we're going to transition to the other painting. So yeah, I'm going to transition and work on this next painting. It's also a circular painting. I think this one was 10 inches, and I think the other one was 16 inches. The city painting is going to sit in the drying spot for now. And for this painting, I'm going to continue using the colors I was using previously. I'm using a soft mixing white, which I didn't notice until now, and ivory black. And these colors are, again, Winton brand. I don't work a lot with Winton or Winsor Newton paints that often, but I have a couple tubes. I have a lot, but I wanted to just try them out and see how they work. And now that I think about it, I don't like mixing whites that often. I don't really get how to use them. For some reason, I understand you use it to mix, but I never get a brighter color when I mix with the white, or I don't get like a pastel. It just feels like it eats the other color, and it just like dulls itself out to me. And here's Mochi taking my painting spot. She literally only sits here when I'm trying to actually do oil painting. And I think she does this just because she wants the sunlight. Obviously, there's a good sunbeam there, but she also likes to try and trip me. And so if I try to back up, she'll swat at my legs or act like I hurt her in any way. This painting is obviously based off of the moon. I just found a reference photo online and I was trying to follow that. I got really interested in doing space type paintings when the James Webb telescope went out and brought back pictures. And so I just got really obsessed with that and I wanted to do a little series, but I realized that a lot of my oil paintings are like an impressionistic style, and so it just wouldn't work that well. I mean, it probably would, but I feel like the space paintings would need to be, more detailed and a lot more like fine tuning, and that's just not the style I work with when it comes to oil paintings. But yeah, I don't have like a good process with this painting. It's mostly just me trying to put some color, not color, but put some tone down that I think is the right spot for it. I was working on this one over the course of a couple days, and it was just a lot of trying to make more dark areas, and I just didn't want it all to be close to like 2 or 3 tones. And so I'm trying to fix that here. I tend to do a lot of black and white studies because I think it helps me when it comes to trying to get the correct tone and shading when I'm doing like actual color paintings. And so I have a wall of just black and white studies in my art room, and I just look at those all the time, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. And I think I'm going to add this one to it as well, just as like another like black and white part of the wall. I just wish I hadn't used the mixing white. I was wondering why I was having such a hard time getting a good bright white, and now I know why. But yeah, I highly recommend doing black and white studies. They help me a lot. I did a good chunk of them last year. Like I did basically a black and white study every time before I jumped into another oil painting of like the same thing. And so I'm just really happy doing them. They're really quick to just pump out. Usually they take me like maybe a day or two in comparison to like an actual color painting. Those usually take me about a week to finish if it's small. If it's bigger, it can be like a month or two. And that's just because I'm a very slow painter. But yeah, the black and white studies are just a lot easier. You don't have to think about the colors, which ones complement each other, how to get the correct tone you're looking for, or the right color combination, and you don't really have to worry about your colors getting muddy at all. And so that's why I like doing the black and white studies. I think they're a lot easier, but that's just to help me transition into my colored paintings. And so now I'm going to set this painting aside to let it dry. And again, here is Mochi taking my painting spot. She's directly in front where I need to be, and she will not move. But yeah, I was just talking about doing black and white studies for paintings, and this is a black and white study of a painting I have planned in the future. I didn't film that because it's a personal painting, but I'm gonna get back into the city painting. I'm just checking to see if it's dry, and it is, and all I'm gonna do is paint the trees back here. And I'm trying to keep it pretty loose. I don't want it to be super detailed and then have to scrape it off again. I just want like an impression of the trees, and I'm also trying to make sure that they're staggered a bit so it gives you that like depth perception throughout the painting. And so I hope I did that right. This oil painting is the first time I used Prussian blue, and I think it looks really good with phthalo blue next to it. I don't know, I think the oversaturated phthalo looks really nice against the really dark Prussian blue. It makes all the other colors pop a bit more. And so I took a step back, and I think this painting is done, at least at a spot that I'm happy with. I'm really happy with how the trees turned out, and yeah, let's go see them side by side. So here are the two final paintings. Again, I'm really happy with the black and white one and the city painting. You can just see how loose my brushstrokes are on the moon painting. Again, I could have made it more detailed, but I just like being able to walk back away from it and know kind of what I'm looking at. And then same thing here. I'm really happy with how this tree turned out. I'm so glad that I put the phthalo blue down as the bark. And I just really like the little pops of yellow on it. And I still think those trees in the back could use a little bit more work, but I'm happy with them. But yeah, I'm very happy with how these turned out. I'm so glad they are finally covered. I have them sitting in my drying rack right now, which is an old shoe rack, and they're just going to sit here for the next couple weeks until the oil paint dries, at least to the touch. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!